Well, let's get more now on those plans by House of Fraser to close more than half its stores, putting as many as 6,000 jobs at risk. Well, joining us from central London is Fletcher, the Director of Real Estate Policy at British Property Federation. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. First of all, would you say that news like this is indicative of the general malaise that perhaps is occurring on the High Street at the moment?
Certainly the High Street has challenges. Those are long-term structural problems in terms of the way that the nation shops. From a landlord's perspective, I think our members have a proud record of supporting retailers that become insolvent through company voluntary arrangements. But we've seen a trend in recent months for CVAs which we feel are not proper.
When you say not proper, what do you mean by that?
Not proper in terms of these are restructuring exercises, and if you look back at the history of CVAs, it's a very checkered history. Those CVAs that have tended to do the job have looked at a holistic sort of restructuring of the business. So have looked at the debt and rewriting that, looking at equity raising, looking at the offer that the retailer has. Perhaps changes in management, whereas the trend in recent CVAs has been towards just shedding liabilities regarding stores.
So in the terms of House of Fraser, how would this rescue plan, as it is, how exactly would it work for the benefit of the company in your estimation?
I think I don't like to comment on particular companies. I think the insolvency practitioner in those circumstances has a really tough job, and careless talk sort of costs lives. But I think if you look,
what would be the template for a rescue plan?
The key things are that there is that holistic restructuring, that landlords are not taking all the pain, that the insolvency practitioner has looked at how to keep this business going, not just for the next 12 months, but for the longer term. I think that one of the dark arts of CVAs is how they have to be voted through on a 75% basis, and landlords are feeling very aggrieved that these votes are not constituted properly, that their liabilities are minimised, whereas the other liabilities of the company are maximised. And so, in the case of House of Fraser, or indeed any future CVA, that there is a fair vote. Another key consideration is that often landlords are being asked to take compromises, and if the company does recover, sometimes the offer on the table in terms of sort of future compensation is derisory. It's often capped to about 600,000. And if landlords have taken a lot of that pain, what's called the clawback should be far more generous than is often the case.
And what's the percentage of success following on from implementing a CVA? And how long does it take to manifest, really, to see whether it has been successful and the company is now back into profitability?
It's not high. We can think of one or two high street businesses, likes of Travelodge or Dreams, that have recovered well from a CVA process, and in those respects have those have been these sort of holistic CVAs. But one can think of other stores, Allied Carpets, Focus DIY, going back a few years, where it hasn't delivered, and clearly there's been a succession of 5 or 6 CVAs over the last few months, and they fall into that latter category often, in terms of being CVAs that are just restructuring the estate rather than looking at the fundamental problems of the business and seeking to put those right.
Okay, Fletcher, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us in that crucial meeting, the 22nd of June, as to the future fate of House of Fraser.
Do so with this on Sky News, coming up in the sport.